Hi, this is Kat Chancellor with Stamp Art Connection and StampArtConnection.com. I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator, and welcome to our Wednesday live. Last week, I wasn't able to have a live because I've been working pretty hard. So I just had, sometimes just things you get overtaken by events. But this week, I'm real excited that it's September. So I hope everybody's doing well. Please say hi if you're signing up, so that I know you're here. Okay, September, big month. I'm just going to kind of hang on a little bit because I'm waiting for a couple of other people to go on. Jackie, what's going on with you? How are you doing? If you just want to chat, let me know what's going on. Missed you at the workshop, but I know you had the PDF. I wanted to show what we did at our. This is the box card workshop I'm offering. I'm offering this next month as well. I've got several themes that I am offering this in. I have a poinsettia theme and a fall theme. But the surprise is that when we did it last month, my wonderful customer didn't have any of those products. So I said, well, what do you have? And she said, well, I have this. I said, you got the DSP? She said, yes. I said, okay. So let's sit down. And right there during our workshop, I sat down and we came up with this design. It was wonderful. It was right off the cuff. I had a couple of people in the workshop, and we just kind of came up with what we wanted to do. So this is another theme that I'm offering for my workshop. And this came out just absolutely lovely. It's using that, I think it's like corner sentiment. We used reverse embossing by sponging some color. And, we basically went with what she had in her craft room and what I had in my craft room. And we were able to come up with with some really wonderful results. And that's really what makes me happy, is when we can sit down and we can come up with a design or a product that you have from the products you already have in your craft room, and we can basically kind of collaborate and come up with something. Because it's I like to sell products, but I also like to teach the art. That's why I'm Stamp Art Connection, because I like to teach the art of putting things together. Tonight, I want to show you, or I try to come up with several techniques using the embossing folder Evergreen Forest, okay? This embossing folder is one of those super 3D dynamic folders. So I sat down, one of the cards I came up with, this card here, this is toilet paper. I embossed on toilet paper and then colored the toilet paper. Now, you can see how these are the clear little snowflakes, but you can see how they add a little bit of glimmer. And this is that real pretty ribbon. Now, having done that, I then embossed just basically using the plain Whisper White. You can see how I use Whisper White here. I used a strip of the gold foil, and that's really enough to kind of set off this embossing folder. It's too much I think it's too much if you did the whole thing in gold foil, but it really kind of lends itself to doing just a strip of it and adding it on top of the Whisper White, and then I added some gold gems. I did the same way, and this is what this is landscape. I did the same thing in portrait, and I think this probably comes off a little bit better because the trees are tall. So you can kind of see how that kind of comes together. And then I used the stamp set, and I have it right here because I really like these sentiments called, let me get this little piece of paper out of here. For Unto Us. It really has some really pretty sentiments. I love the script, and I used this one here. I've also used this one here on another card, but I really love how different these scripts are. So that's the set that I used. Now, the last thing I did is I took the same embossing folder, only this time I embossed it on Whisper White, and I did some sponging here on the top, and then I sponged the bottom. I sponged the trees with gold ink. And I don't know if you can tell, but I also kind of accented them with some gold, and this is the Vegas Gold all-purpose ink, and this was in the catalog. I don't know if it's in the catalog now. What I wanted to do tonight was show you that you could do the same effect. And here's the same thing. I was just doing this a few minutes ago, but I think what was missing with this card is that I didn't have enough contrast between the sky and the trees. So I tried it with Night and Navy, and I really like that. So I want to kind of do that tonight as well. So let me show you, now that you've kind of seen what I've been working on, let me show you how to do some toilet paper embossing, and then we're going to put together some cards. Okay, the embossing folders I'm going to use tonight are going to be the Evergreen Forest 3B. And I'm also going to use, and this may be retired. I don't think it is, but it's the Scripty 3D embossed, and it's kind of like these pretty words on it. Okay, I don't know if Amy's here, but one of the things that we wanted to do is for those of you that subscribe to Paper Pumpkin, if you're interested in a Paper Pumpkin alternates class, we were thinking of partnering up and offering something like that. So let me know if you're interested. Okay, moving over to the desktop, I want to show you that we're going to take, I think I'm going to start with this embossing folder. And I have this, let me make sure I have this right. I have this roll of toilet paper. Look how tiny this is. So I decided I grabbed this out of our storage, and I went ahead and I'm going to use these pieces. Now, one of the things that you have to consider when you're doing this technique, and I don't know if anybody's done this technique, let me know if you have, is that you want to make sure that you do have some layers. And I'm just simply going to open up my embossing folder and lay my strip of paper and across my embossing folder. I'm just going to take a spritzer, and I'm very lightly, you don't need a lot of water. You're just going to mist it. Then you're going to close it. And you're going to mist it, and then you're going to close it. So it's going to come out a bit damp, but if you just kind of straighten it out and just lay it out and let it dry, you have to let it dry completely before you can use it. But you can kind of see the texture that it gives with toilet paper. Now, alakazam, here is a dry piece of this one, and here is a dry piece of this one. So now we're going to very carefully ink these with a sponge dauber. I'm going to use I'm going to use Garden Green. And let me get my Garden Green out here. And I'm going to use over here, I want to use Real Red. Okay, so I'm just going to take my my pad, and I'm just very lightly, and I'm just going to kind of give this a little bit of tension, and I'm just going to very lightly kind of just I am really more than scrubbing across the paper. I am daubing. Now, when you think about foreground and background, foreground is what is closest to you, and background is what's furthest to you. So when you consider any kind of scene, you want to kind of look at it in terms of what is furthest from you and what is closest. And in this design, and I'm going to turn this around this way, what's closest to me are these trees right up in here. So these are the trees that I'm going to kind of give the most color. I'm going to kind of right here. You can see this tree right here that's kind of beginning to develop. That's going to have the most color. Now, because this is toilet paper, again, I'm not moving this across as much as I'm just kind of very delicately daubing. And I just want to make sure I can kind of, again, I'm just kind of trying to create a little bit of background, foreground type of contrast here. I can do it darker at the bottom and then let it kind of get lighter as it gets up. And I'm just kind of very gently daubing these background trees. And you can kind of see how that's kind of created this nice kind of effect. And maybe I need a little bit more there. Okay, and kind of looking at this tree here, this tree is a pretty massive tree. So what I want to do is I want to put more color in the middle of the tree so it kind of stands a little bit more solid. Okay, then if I want, I can take something like Pool Party and another dauber, and I can just very lightly kind of give this a little bit of color like that. Okay, so then what we're going to do, and this is why I wanted to show you this card, that this is going to go on top of a piece of Whisper White, like this. All right, this is done with these spruce, what is it, the shaded spruce color. And then this one is done with garden green. So it kind of gives you a contrast, because I have this paper here, kind of gives you a contrast between both cards. But you can see how very different this looks and how the paper really does have a lot of texture. So how we want to apply this is we're going to take our Whisper White, and all I'm going to do is I'm going to put some of the tear tape on, and let's see, it's about that wide. So we're going to put the tear tape like this. And I'm just going to go ahead and pull this off. And we're going to start at the bottom Okay, I'm going to start at the bottom between my tear tape. And then I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to roll this forward along the tear tape and then smooth it out. And that is there's my card. Now, because I have it on the white, if I did want to take a little bit of my blue now and kind of even that out. I can do that. You see how I kind of evened that out. Now that I've done that, I'll tell you what works really well is I can use my my cutter to just trim the paper off. So now this is cut and we can go ahead and mount that on some garden green, and then I can make a card. And what I did with this card here is that I stamped using Versamark a little gold star that came from, see this right here? I used this little star and I stamped it right there. And then I put, you can see where I put the little clear snowflakes. I'm not sure I'm really crazy about that. I also kind of fussy cut around here and I put this this ribbon that comes in the catalog on my card, just to kind of give it some additional, to kind of ground it a little bit. I wanted to kind of ground it with the bottom. This one is a little bit more sponged, and I think I'm going to go ahead and maybe I'm going to use some gold with that as well. So I will post what this looks like, but you can see how pretty this comes out, and then you can also see the difference. And this is just a piece of Whisper White that is embossed with the embossing folder, and you can see that you do get a lot of really good texture using the toilet paper. So that, I think that's really kind of interesting, because you remember I took this piece here and I used that Scripty embossing folder. So I'm going to, oh, I got some color on it. I'm going to take a red, let me see if I can find red. And I'm going to do the same thing. I'm just going to go ahead and very lightly, I'm just kind of going across. And all I'm trying to do is kind of hit the letters. And then if I kind of want to darken the edge, I can do that. Okay, here's the piece that I've already done right here. And you can see it got kind of a little bit frayed. But I can go ahead and I can add a little bit to the edge. Because now I'm going to cut this, and we're going to make this card is going to be, and I'll come back and post what I do with this card, but here's my idea for this one, because I wanted to make a Christmas card. So this is the white cardstock that I'm going to put it on. So once again, we're just going to take some tear tape. And now I'm going to center this right along the tear tape like this. And I'm going to start at the bottom. And then I'm just going to go ahead and press this all the way up like that. Okay. And now I have my piece. Now we're going to, now the other way you can do this, besides using a cutter, I like to use a cutter, but besides using a cutter, you can use scissors. So there's our paper. Now, what we can always take And I kind of like the idea of just taking some more of this red, and I'm just going to kind of dab these edges a little bit, okay? Let me move out a little bit so you can see what I'm just going to kind of dab these edges. I want to put this back on a piece of Whisper White because I want to create another border. So this piece of real red is going to be 5 1/4 by 4. Then I need this one to be 5 3 3/4. So let me cut that. And we're going to go ahead and put that there. We're going to have this here. And then what I've done is I have created a little piece of holly right there that is going to, and I'm going to have to cut this down a little bit more. So there is our piece. And now I have this piece of holly that I colored and stamped from the brightly gleaming stamp set. So here's the Christmas is gleaming. The Christmas is gleaming stamp set. Here's this wonderful holly. So I stamped that, and I've also stamped somewhere here. I will find it because I am prepared. Katrina was prepared before the camera went on. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to cut out a sentiment, and I'm going to use, to cut out those sentiments, I am going to use my favorite dies, which are the, hold it. I can't find my dies. Where are my dies? My circle dies, and here they are. Here's my circle dies. So let me go ahead and cut this out, and this fits perfectly with the second circle die. So I'm going to cut this out right there, and we're going to make that card, and you're going to see how really beautiful this toilet paper technique looks on making a Christmas card. Okay, so there is what we're going to come up with, and I don't know yet how I want to embellish this. If I want to use some of this really pretty ribbon, but let me kind of show you what I was thinking. So there's the it's on Whisper White, real red, okay? And then I took the toilet paper and we embossed it, and it kind of gives this really nice soft look, which is a lot different than if you did it on cardstock. And then I'm going to kind of decorate it, and maybe I'm going to put some of this real pretty ribbon on it to kind of balance it out. All right, so this was with red. Now let me show you some of the other ones I did. I did this one. Let me move out. I did this one here, and I used crumb cake. Okay, so I want to come up with another card, and I also did this one. Now this one here, let me move this aside because here's what I want to do with this one. Let's take this one, and this one is using this folder right here, which is the Parisian Flourish. Okay, so let's put this one on. I'm kind of jumping, I'm playing around. Once again, let me show you the technique. We're going to take our tear tape, and we're going to put our tear tape on our card. Okay, so now again, I'm going to lay this down, and I've got it between my tear tape, and then I'm just going to I'm just rolling this down very smoothly all the way down, and then I'm going to press it. Okay, so there it is. I love my little mini cutter here. Now, just like the other piece, what I want to do is I want to grab my dauber, and I just want to go around these edges a little bit. Just kind of going around and filling in these edges. I did the same thing. I used the real red. Oops, and that one kind of opened up. So I am just going to take a piece of fuse, and I'm just going to run it very gently right there. It is delicate because it is tissue paper, and we're just going to kind of, and I'm just kind of really daubing. I don't want to really rub this. Okay, and then I'm going to I've got a little piece of paper here. Just got it. Okay, so again, I like this idea of the red on the Whisper White, and then I like the idea of kind of framing that. So, and this is going to be the top of this card. Now what I'm going to do is we're going to put together, because look how pretty it's going to look if we use our favorite poinsettia. And if you've seen my video, I show you how easy it is to put together this poinsettia using the dies and some stamping seal. And we're just going to go ahead and bend these up. And I'm going to have a pretty poinsettia that is really going to be set off on the back of this background. Like that. And I will finish this and I will post this. Anita, you have to go to my Stamping Fusion to see my final cards. Okay, so isn't that going to look just lovely? And then we're going to put, I think we're just going to have to put, look at that. We're going to have to put a pearl thing there. And we're going to have to put a green leaf right there. Look at that. Isn't that pretty? Isn't that, I mean, wouldn't that be a pretty card right there? So there's another example of a way that you can use your background for making a Christmas card using this toilet paper technique. Okay, I want to take this piece of Whisper White because I want to show you what I did to put this card together. Now, I think it shows up a little bit better here under this light, because what I want to show you is that I used a sponge dauber to put the gold ink, okay? But then I used this specialty ink to kind of accent some of these taller limbs, and you can see how they're kind of, accent them. But one of the things that I found is that I really don't like, there's very little contrast here. So I think it'd look a lot better if it was a lot darker. So that's where I went ahead and I did this as a test. So now that I've done this, I'm going to show you how I did that. Night of Navy, and I have a sponge dauber here. And this is a glass surface. And this is what's so cool about this glass surface, is that I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to take this and I'm just going to start kind of sponging, okay? And let me just move in so you can see how I'm sponging this. I'm just going to kind of sponge, and I'm going to go into the tree line a little bit, all right? I'm going into the tree line a little bit, but I'm just going to kind of, and I'm using the side. You see how I'm using the side of the sponge dauber to get kind of between the trees? And I'm just going to kind of go like that, okay? And I'm just going to continue to add ink. And as I add ink, I'm just going to go ahead and continue to add it to my paper. Now, because this is glass, I don't have to worry about it going onto the glass, and it's so smooth that it really doesn't buckle at all. Okay, so there we go. I got a nice dark background with the Night of Navy. Isn't that pretty? Okay, so I'm going to put Night of Navy away, and because I have that on the glass, I'm going to wipe it down. Okay, I've dried it. So now I'm going to grab my gold stamp pad, and I have a gold sponge dauber right here. Here's my gold stamp pad. And let me just move out a little bit so you can see what I'm going to do. Now I'm going to concentrate on just kind of starting at the bottom. I'm starting at the bottom, and I'm just kind of working my way. And again, I've got this nice glass, so I can go off this paper and not worry about a mess. Okay, and I'm just going to kind of, and what I really want to focus on is again, just like what we did with, okay, it's the same technique as we did with this one. We're really going to concentrate on these trees that are in the foreground like this. So, and I'm putting a lot of my pigment is I kind of want to ground that on the bottom. Okay, what I mean by grounding it is that's where I want the darkest part of the pigment to be. And I'm just going to bring it up, and then you can see where this tree right here. There you go. This tree right here. I'm just kind of catching the edge of that tree. Okay, and then I'm kind of coming up this tree here. You can see where this tree comes up, because this tree is in the foreground, and I'm just going to kind of capture that. And I want to make sure that, you know, again, I've got my ink, and then I've got something right here that's in the, and that's basically it. I mean, those are basically the trees that are in the foreground. And I just want to make sure that I kind of captured that, okay? But then I've got these trees back here. I can very lightly, and I'm just going to kind of like, you see how I'm just kind of dabbing? I'm very lightly dabbing just to kind of get a little bit of the color, just a hint of color on those back trees. Because the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to get a very thin paintbrush like this, and I'm going to take some of this paint, and let me just move out so you can see what I'm doing. I'm just going to take some of this paint, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of go along here, and I want to get some of the, if I rub this paint brush along using kind of the same technique as I did with the sponge dauber, you can just pick up some of the outline of the tree. You can kind of see where I'm just kind of picking up some of the outline of that tree right here. I'm picking up some of the outline of that tree, and I'm just kind of giving it a little bit of glint. And I'm going to do the same thing over here, where I'm just kind of picking the outline of that tree. And I'm going to do the same over here. And because I'm just very lightly going over it, it's just kind of picking up the raised part of our embossing folder. And what I want to do also is I kind of want to follow that stalk. See that tree stalk that kind of comes all the way down? I'm kind of following that that stalk down as well. And then I'm going to kind of get the outside. Then I'm just going to kind of go, and now with my foreground tree, I'm just going to kind of dab the outside edges of this tree right here. Because all I'm trying to do is just kind of accent that. And I'm going to do the same with this one here. And this is all gold ink. And even I can go down here and I can grab the outside edge of this one here. Okay, and you can kind of see what I've created right there. It's very, very subtle. Okay, it's very subtle. And I'm just kind of running my brush to kind of blend. But it's very, very, again, it's subtle. So now if I take something like this, right, and we're going to put this on a piece of Whisper White cardstock. I mean, look at that. And then if I were to add some gold braid here on the bottom, like this, let me go ahead and bring this piece in. I mean, look how absolutely gorgeous. Let me pull out a little bit. I'm going to add that right there. And look at how absolutely gorgeous that is. That is just beautiful. And so I kind of started out with this card. So I'm going to kind of do the same thing. But I think it's just much prettier with the darker sky. And then just kind of adding some of that gold leaf in there, and you can kind of see how really pretty it stands out. Okay, so there you go. I have a lot of things that we did, and I'm going to have to put some cards together and put them on my site. But I hope you got some inspiration and some ideas from our from using our embossing folders, because I just wanted to be like, hey, what can I do with just an embossing folders for Christmas cards? They're fast, they're easy, they're really not a lot of work. You can probably put them together in mass and come up with some. Okay, it's a little bit after 8. Thank you so much. I want to give you back your evening. This is Kat Chancellor from Stamp Art Connection and stampartconnection.com. Thank you so much for joining me. Stay safe and stay well.